Good day, fish tankers. How would you like a reliable, unobtrusive and easy to set heater that you can set without getting your hands wet? Sounds good? Well, today I'm going to do an unboxing as well as a long-term review of the Top-Aqua electronic heater. Let's see what's in the box. I say long-term because I got two of them running at the back here. This is the 70 watt version. You get them in several sizes. They start at 35 watts, then 70 watts, then 100 watts. They go all the way up to the 200, 300 watt, and even a 900 watt model out there somewhere that I haven't seen before. Now I've got the 35 watt running in my 5-gallon pea puffer tank, and I've got the 70 watt right here behind me in the cube tank. So let's take a look what's inside, because I always have a spare. And I'm taking it out of a box here, and it's actually pretty simple. You've got the heater, which is a glass heater, and the heater just sits in the tank like that. It's got two suction cups, and it sits in the tank, and it's the heater, and there is also a heat sensor on it, and it also has a temperature override, so the manufacturers claim that switches off the heater if the temperature reaches 32 degrees Celsius, which will prevent you from cooking your fish because the heater gets stuck in the on position. Tell me in the comment section, what brand of heaters do you use? What were your experience with the heaters that you use? Because I've had several over the years, different experiences with some of them. But this is the one that I use on my nano tanks. You can use them on your big tanks as well. I don't have experience of the big heaters. I only have experience of ones that we use in the nano tanks. I've been told by some fish keepers that the bigger wattage models that goes to the 200 and the 300 watts, they make a sort of electrical buzz that a transformer or a substation sometimes makes. I didn't have any of that trouble with these, but here you can see it's a glass heater. It's grey, it's reflective, it's very compact. It's a very small heater, very compact, and very easy to hide. So it's ideal for nano tanks. And you've got a long cord, and then your thermostat sits integrated with a plug on the outside of a tank. So you plug this in, and then you set your temperature here with the dial. Okay, and what they have done, because of the way this plug is configured, sometimes with all the adapters we have here in South Africa, you have to have a specific one, you know, otherwise a plug doesn't fit in, it's not flush. But they've solved that problem now. With the first heater that I got from them, it wasn't like that, but now we've got a little extension here that you can just plug in like that, and then it will plug in to any sort of two-prong adapter. So they've solved that problem by doing that. So you can always extend this if you're struggling to get this into the plug. Now, what I like about these, like I've said, they're unobtrusive. They don't take up much space, and in small nano tanks, that is what you want. And then you've got the dial here on the outside. And in South Africa, we struggle to get that. Usually you have an entire thermostat and heating element in one glass tube, so it takes up a lot more space, and you've got a dial on top of a heater that you've got the dial and that you have to stick your hand in the tank for. That's how most of them works. Now, I've been running the one here at the back. It's a 70 watt one for now more than 2 years in this nano tank, and I've never had any problems. And I've got a 35 watt one there in the bottom in the 5-gallon pea puffer tank. That's only been about 2 or 3 months, but also no problem with that as well. Now you can see here there's a green area that's between the 25 and 30 degree mark, and that's most of your tropical temperatures is usually set between 24 degrees and 27 degrees. This case you go to 28 and 29, but then obviously it's a bigger tank and a bigger heater. But what I can say after a long term of using them, I really like these nano heaters. They've done the job. They've never let me down. They never got stuck in the on position. They haven't broken yet, and they just quietly go about their business. And I especially like the fact that you can set the temperature on the outside of a tank. There is one drawback though, which is the same drawback that I have with almost every heater that I've had. I've had the more expensive ones like the EIM and the Jaegers, and I've had the cheap no-name Chinese brands as well. And all of them have something in common with this one. You can't trust the thermostat. So I will set it at 25 degrees, and then you have to use your thermometer to check the temperature, because 25 here does not necessarily mean that it's going to be 25. It might be 27, but you have to just dial it down a bit again. So that aspect of it is irritating. It still has that thing like all the other heaters have. You can't trust the settings on the thermostat. You know, you can set it at the temperature you want. Let's say at 25 now that we have load shedding and the power goes off every now and then. I have it a little bit higher, so you know, if you lose a bit of heat, it's not a train smash. So I set all my tanks at 26 degrees Celsius. You can Google what that is in Fahrenheit, but I set them all at 26. But if I set the heater at 26, I still have to check my thermometer and see where my temperature is at, because one here behind me is set to about 22, and that keeps my temperature steady at about 26 degrees. And that's what I mean. You know, the thermometer, you have to double check the thermostat with a thermometer. You can't just trust this dial, so you have to get a thermometer as well. That problem that I've had with all the heaters that we still having, I haven't seen that solved. I see Aquarium Co-op in America. Corey McElroy, if you're listening to this, we would really like to have some of your products in South Africa. I've seen the reviews of their heater. It's sort of similar to this. It doesn't look similar, but it's also, the heater is in the tank, it's compact, and then the thermostat is outside the tank, not on the plug, but on the cord. And it seems that if you set that thermostat to a temperature, that's what it keeps it at. But anyway, it's not a train smash. You simply have to go and check your temperature with a thermometer, alter the settings accordingly, and you do it outside the tank so you don't have to wet your hands. And these heaters have been running well now for quite some while, so I'm going to show you what it looks like in the tanks. Okay guys, so there at the back you can see the 70 watt in this, I think it's about 7 gallons, about 27 liters capacity in an ideal world, not allowing for displacement. But you can see there you've got the heater, and it's quite unobtrusive because this is a small tank. So if you have those big glass tubes with the heater and the thermostat all in one, they do become bulky when you have them on the small nano tanks. And then there you can see that is the thermostat that's integrated into a plug. And what I also like about this heater, you can see when it is connected to the power, and it gives you the green light, so I know it's connected. And if the heater switches on, the red light will go on, and I'll know that the heater is on and that it's warm. And there at the back you see the 35 watt version. That is the smallest version, and this is on the 20 litre 5 gallon pea puffer tank. You've got to excuse the algae. I'll make a video about how we're going to address that issue, because there's no cleanup crew here, just these 4 pea puffers, and that's like their high protein food. But there you see it hanging. It's a tiny little heater and it's easy to hide, and it definitely gets a yes from me. You'll see here at the back there's a plug plugged in, and the green light showing me that the power is connected. And we have a hot day here in Stellenbosch, and the heater, you can see, is obviously not on because there's no need for that. But as I've mentioned, you have to have the thermometer still. I like these electronic ones that sit outside of a tank with a probe on it, and you'll see there the temperature is 28 degrees Celsius. That's very hot. And why is that? It's simply because the ambient temperature, it's too hot here at the moment, summertime in Stellenbosch, South Africa, and there's nothing your heater can do about that. I always see people saying, no, I've unplugged the heaters, I've turned the heaters off. Your heater can't cool, your heater only heats. So if the ambient temperature is too hot and it forces your temperature higher than what you set it, the heater can't cool it down, and the heater won't heat it up further because the thermostat automatically switches off the heater. As you've seen, The little green light is on, but the red light is not on. None of these heaters are working. This is the ambient temperature. It pushes the temperature up that high. And there's nothing you can do about that. I wouldn't unplug the heaters because it will make absolutely no difference. And if the temperature suddenly drops down, the heaters won't go on because you've outplugged them. So the only way you can cool that is by cooling off your ambient temperature, putting some fans over the tank. But we're starting to get into autumn, so everything will start cooling down, and then the temperatures will hold steady again at 26 degrees. So all in all, that is the heater. So as I've said, guys, these Aqua One heaters, these Aqua One electronic heaters, I've only used the small nano ones, the 35 watt and the 70 watt. I can't vouch for bigger models, but I've used them for quite some time now, and it gets a yes from me. I think they're very nice little heaters for smaller tanks, and I like the controls outside the tank. Pity that the thermostat doesn't eat what it says on the thermostat, and you have to monitor it with a thermometer. But I think they're good little heaters for nano tanks. I haven't found anything better. Please let me know in the comment sections, what do you like for heaters on your aquariums? Have you tried this heater? Do you like it? Do you not? And please hit that thumbs up button. Give us a like and a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And until I see you again, keep taking good care of those domestic denizens of the deep.